account manager for the client. It's like, yeah, just get it to a place where it's good enough. But good enough is not perfect, you know what? And I think it brings us back to the original point, which is like, what is okay? You know, like on this scale of expectation, what are people actually searching for when you deliver something? Like if you're not having a discussion about like, okay, what is on the grading of good to better to best to okay to bad to worse, like what does that look like?
Yeah.
And what are we okay with? Like, you know, we all have limited time in the day. So if we know that time's against us, money's against us, you know, and even the people that we have around us to produce a thing aren't quite there, call it out and go, look, with what I've got to work with, it's not going to be what you're thinking it's going to be. Yeah. You know, like
expectation
management.
Yeah.
And as a professional, like that was the beginning of that. This was before I started the agency. This is before this was like very early in my career. And I go, I never want to relive that experience in my life, you know, like.
Well, for me, a lot of client work is, I just say up front, and this is fucking obnoxious, but I go, they say, hey, you know, can you do, well, this is what we want. And I say, okay, cool. What's your parameters, right? And they say, and parameters for me means budget, time, expectation, outcome. Like how good do you want it? And so I just, on my website, it's even, you could click on fucking my website and it's like the law of production.
Yeah.
Good, fast, cheap, pick 2.
Yeah.
Do you want it good? Do you want it fast? It's going to cost you. Mm-hmm. Do you want it, do you not give a fuck if it's good? You just want it out there? You want it fast? You want it cheap? Good. You know, and in Aussie, they always like, want cheap. So I go, okay, you can negotiate that down.
Yeah.
And I just had a conversation with a client that didn't end up being a client. And it was like, he's like, we want it fast, but we want it cheap, but it's still got to be good. And I said, that's breaking my law of production. And I said, here's my input. He said, you know, this is my inputs. My inputs, if it's fast, I got more stuff on it. If it's cheap, I got less stuff on it. So what do you want? Because you can't have both, you know.
But that's the way it goes. And you have to set those expectations for people. And some people won't listen to those things either. They just go.
And that's the biggest L's I've ever taken is when I just go, nah. Because I got a people pleasing streak. It took me fucking 40 years to get over.
Yeah.
And I just went,
still going.
We can make it work. I'm sure we can make it work. You know, I'll do my best, you know, and fuck me, I lose, man.
You will make anything work. I will make anything work. I'll go like, look, to be honest, like this goes against most things that I believe, but I am the eternal optimist. Like I am optimistic.
Yeah, to the point of it that it's spin. I don't believe it, but I think I'm going to fucking believe it.
Well, like you get lured into this kind of sense of like, I believe that I can give it the best shot possible to try and achieve as close to the thing that you think that it could be. Yeah. But I'm not a fucking mind reader, so I'm going to try and get as close to your weird perception of whatever you think that it might be. So now you're playing in this weird realm that doesn't exist, and you go, okay, well, that was always bound to fail. So now I get really clear from the outside and go, right, what you're looking for doesn't exist, all right, unless you have unlimited money, unlimited time, So let's bring it back to the grounds of reality, all right? So who's around us that can make this happen? Like, what can I do to like tell this story better? All right.
Yeah.
What are the things I need? What's the environment I need to create in order to make this a reality? And they go, all right, well, we don't have any of these things. And I go, look, I can drag 50% of this of the way there, but I'm going to need you to do 50% of the heavy lifting. And they go, you don't have any time to do this. And I go, well, then we can't do this then. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
but for the bottom line, for, you know, paying your staff and doing all the stuff that's not negotiable, you do take it on and then it's, oh man, it's like, it's a shit fight from there.
And we've spoken earlier and I go, like the idea with agency and the way that it works, I think, well, actually, I believe that the big agency is dead. Like, I just don't think that there's a place for it anymore. You need to be agile. You need to think you need to bring in best of breed producers for a specific type of job. So the role of agency is not just to take agency of the client's account anymore. It's actually about taking agency of the production capability. So it's almost switching into the creative aspect to say, right, I know as a tastemaker what's required to deliver a result. So I will use my network to create this thing rather than just using the resources that are actually readily available to me to create your thing. That's a really big difference. That's a huge difference because most agencies in Australia and most of the world are based around full-time employees, bums on seats. We have a designer, we have a copywriter, we have an account manager, and you get assigned this group to do your thing. They're not particularly skilled at doing your thing. You work in automotive. That's different to working in health foods. That's different to working in pharmaceuticals. That's different to working in oil and gas. So why am I using the same team to do all that shit for you? I'm sorry. As if I was a consumer, does not make sense.
This is probably the most honest I've ever been on a podcast. Do you feel like the same? Like,
oh, I'm about.
I mean, we're
Plantagenet's deep right now. This is the Lancaster Shiraz, by the way.
But this is where if we think put ourselves in the listener perspective, this is the most vulnerable. Like, you run your own fucking company. Me too, and this is really the challenges. This is the essence of it. So I really appreciate the vulnerability that we have, but this is a reality of things that we fucking keep us up at night. Brett, this is deteriorating, so we should probably wrap it up.
This podcast is brought to you by Plantagenet.
Plantagenet wine.
We do have to say, like, the Mount Barker, Denmark, Albany experience, beautiful. Like, the Great Southern is the most amazing location for wines to exist. So,
I just want to say, Margaret River, we're coming for you. Great Southern is coming for you.
We are, there's a reason why we're the great in the Great Southern. We're no minor Southern. We are the Great Southern.
It's the last stop before Antarctica.
Yeah.
It's pristine, wild down there.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like terrain, undulation. Use words that are big.
Yeah.
That's what's happening down there.
Thank you so much, Brett Novak, for just the wisdom and the truth of the vulnerability. I appreciate so much.
Tom, pleasure.
Take care. Thank you for listening to the Stories Within Stories podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this show. For more stories like this, head to barefootmedia.co.